I never thought I'd tell this story. Not to anyone, not ever. But some memories don't die quietly. They scratch from the inside until you give them air, until you sit down and admit that you were once a different man, a weaker, more foolish man. And maybe if I can tell it, I'll finally forgive myself, or maybe you'll understand why I did what I did. Or maybe you won't. But either way, I need to say it. My name is Adam Walker. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, to a family of generational wealth. My father owned several chains of luxury hotels across the South, and my mother, well, she mostly just hosted galas and smiled politely. That was the world I grew up in. Soft towels, fresh flowers, polished cutlery, and the illusion that everything had its place, including people. By 28, I had everything a man is supposed to want. At least that's what the world told me. I was the VP of operations in my father's company, drove a navy blue Tesla, lived in a condo that overlooked the Colorado River, and I was engaged to the woman every man at our club whispered about. Charlotte Montgomery. Charlotte was elegance personified. Her family owned an art gallery downtown, and she could talk for hours about brushstrokes, French wine, and 17th century sculpture. She was beautiful, no doubt. Blonde hair that shimmered like champagne, skin that looked like it had never known a blemish, and eyes the color of ice cubes in a gin and tonic. We met at a charity dinner, fell in sync within months, and were engaged within a year. Everything was perfect. Picture perfect. But perfection is a heavy coat to wear, especially when it doesn't fit your soul. Enter Elena. She came into our lives as a quiet shadow, just the maid. Hired through an agency, part-time. Her job was to tidy the apartment twice a week, do laundry, water the plants, and occasionally prep our ingredients for Charlotte's overambitious dinner parties. She wore her dark hair in a loose braid and kept her eyes mostly down, her presence almost ghost-like. But I noticed her. The way she hummed songs in Spanish under her breath, the way she paused to look out at the city skyline like it was a dream she wasn't allowed to touch. There was a warmth to her that didn't belong in our cold, calculated world. The first time we spoke beyond hello and thank you was because of a broken coffee machine. I was cursing under my breath in the kitchen, trying to fix it, and she stepped in silently and handed me the manual from the drawer. I hadn't even realized she'd noticed. "You should unplug it," she said softly. "Then wait 20 seconds. Sometimes it just needs to forget." "Forget?" "Yeah," she said, with a small laugh. "Like people." That stuck with me. A machine needing to forget. Like people. Over the weeks, I found excuses to be around when she was cleaning. Charlotte rarely noticed. She was always out for Pilates, brunches, or planning wedding details. She never saw how my eyes began to search for Elena's reflection in the microwave glass, or how I started looking forward to the faint scent of citrus cleaner mixed with lavender that lingered after she left. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't like I woke up one day and thought, I love her. No. It was slower than that. It was the kind of affection that grows in cracks, silent, steady, and undeniable. I learned that Elena was 24, that she'd come from New Mexico, that she supported her younger brother, who had epilepsy, and sent most of her paycheck home, that she liked mangoes but couldn't afford to buy them often, that she loved poetry and wrote lines on the backs of grocery receipts. I started leaving books out for her. At first by accident, then deliberately. Langston Hughes, Pablo Neruda, Maya Angelou. Once, I found a note tucked inside one of them. "Your words feel safer than most people. Thank you." We never touched, not for a long time, not physically, but emotional intimacy is a powerful drug. And the more I opened up to her, the more I told her about how I felt suffocated by my life, how I doubted the man I was becoming. The more she looked at me like I was something more than just Adam Walker, the heir to a hotel empire. She looked at me like I was a man trying. One day, everything cracked. It was mid-October. Charlotte had just left to try on wedding dresses. Elena was folding clothes in the living room. I had no business being there, but I walked over, sat down, and handed her a cup of hot chocolate. She looked at it, then at me. "Why are you doing this?" "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I feel like I breathe easier when you're around." She didn't say anything, just looked down. I reached out, touched her hand. Just for a second. She pulled away, not in disgust, but in fear. "You're getting married," she whispered, "but you don't love her." "I know." There was silence. Then, she got up, packed her things, and left. For 3 days, she didn't come back. The agency told me she'd taken leave. I felt like someone had unplugged me, like I was the machine that needed to forget. When she returned, something had changed. She was colder, more careful. I tried to speak to her again, but she avoided my eyes. That only made me want her more. The forbidden nature of it, sure, but also because it felt more real than anything I'd ever had with Charlotte. I did the unthinkable. I called off the wedding. My mother screamed. My father threatened to cut me off. Charlotte slapped me in front of my building lobby and cried like I'd just burned her life down. Maybe I had. I didn't blame her. I still don't. I went to Elena. I told her I left everything, that I didn't care about the trust fund, that I just wanted to sit next to her while she read poems on grocery receipts, that I wanted to find out who I really was, not as Adam Walker, but just Adam. She cried. She said I was insane, that love wasn't enough to survive, that I had no idea what it meant to be poor. I've been rich my whole life, I told her, but I've never been full. Eventually, she said yes. It wasn't easy. We rented a tiny apartment in the outskirts of Austin with a leaky sink and creaky floors. I worked freelance consulting gigs while she picked up shifts at a bakery. There were nights we ate ramen, nights we fought, nights we cried together because bills were late or her brother's medication was too expensive. But there were also mornings I woke up to her singing while frying eggs. Afternoons where we danced barefoot on our cracked linoleum floor. Evenings where she read poetry to me, her voice wrapping around the words like silk. I learned how to be a man in that apartment. Not the kind of man who wears designer suits or gets quoted in Forbes, but the kind of man who learns how to love with both hands open. We were together for 3 years. And then one day, she left. No drama, no cheating, just a note. I love you, but I need to go find myself too. You gave up everything for me. And now I need to give you the space to find your own dream. Don't come after me. Love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means setting free. I never heard from her again. It's been 5 years now. I rebuilt some of my old life. I consult. I make decent money. But I live modestly. I never went back to the man I used to be. Sometimes I pass by that bakery. It has a new name now. Sometimes I see mangoes at the store and think of her. Sometimes I read Neruda and hear her voice. I don't regret leaving Charlotte. I regret not understanding what love would cost. Or maybe I regret not being brave enough to fight for Elena harder. I don't know. Maybe love is supposed to change you and then let you go. All I know is, I was once the man who left a rich fiancée for a poor maid. And in that short, impossible time we had, when the world stopped judging us, I was the most alive I've ever been. Maybe that's enough.